Hi there. A few weeks ago, I made the Tilly and the Buttons CORALIE swimsuit for the first time ever, and it was okay, but there was room for improvement. So, today's vlog is all about following me making my second version of the CORALIE, and with any luck, it will turn out better than the first one, and it might give you some hints and tips for your swimwear adventure. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. Hi there, I'm Christine the Gemini Stitcher and welcome to my YouTube channel. As I said in my little intro, we're going to make the CORALIE swimsuit by Tilly and the Buttons. There's an image of the CORALIE together today in the hope that I do a better job than I did the first time. So let's have a look at the swimsuit I actually managed to make. Here it is. I am quite proud of it, even though it's not perfect. I've made the one with the ruffle round the neck, and I've not put the ruffles at the bottom because I don't want to accentuate my thunder thighs, do I? So I left those off. But I'm loving the ruffle round the neck. I did the higher version back, and I think this time I'm going to try the low version just for a little bit of a change. So what did I do with my first CORALIE that I don't want to repeat with my second? Inside I put the bra shelf, really need that with my boobs, but I was lazy and I didn't change the thread. So in the interest of perfection, I'm going to make sure I use white thread when I'm sewing the bottom of the bra shelf up. Now, when you're sewing this, it tells you to stretch the elastic as you go, and mine's ended up more stretched at one side than the other, so I need to figure out how to rectify that. Might involve some hand tacking, my favourite thing, not, but if it makes the elastic even, it's worth doing. So that was the first thing that I was a little annoyed with. And then the only other thing that annoyed me is when I was finishing turning it over, the facing on the front to create the band that goes all the way round, I've ended up with a bit of a mess, to be honest, on the inside. And I need to try and figure out how to make that better. Apart from that, it all went really well. I was pleased with how the finish ended up on the bottom part, but there's not as many layers there as at the top with the ruffle. But I love the ruffles, so we need to figure out how to deal with that bulk and get my machine to make that a better finish. I made up a size 4 because Tilly and the Buttons patterns tend to be a bit on the big side on me. Normally I would go for a 6, but I did a 4 and I love the fit, so I'm going to stick with the sizing I've chosen. I'm happy with it, and I'm going to make a better version of the CORALIE. Fingers crossed. We talk fabric. Some of you may have seen this if you follow me, but if you've just bobbed on here because YouTube has kindly put my vlog in your feed and you might want to make a swimsuit, I got some more fabric from First Fabrics, and here it is. It is super bright, OTT, but I think by the time you cut this down to the size of a swimsuit, it won't be as in your face. Well, I'm hoping not anyway. And when I've got a bit of a tan, it'll look pretty good, I reckon. So there's the fabric. The other things that you need are swimwear elastic. Now, the swimwear elastic that I'll be using is a cotton swimwear elastic. I got it from Amazon, and if it's still available, I will pop the link in the details below. And then I'm also using Maraflex thread because I just want security that the stretch is not going to pop any seams. And then I've got some stretch mesh for the lining in white. So let's get the pattern cut out and make a start. Excited! So I've cut my pattern pieces all out, and I just thought before I started cutting them out in the Yummy fabric, I'd quickly run through the pieces that you need for the low back costume. So you need the front, and we're going to cut one of those on the fold. The back piece, now I've cut this as the low neck piece, the low back. You can cut it higher, but I've kept the extra piece for when I want to do another high back. So I've got that, and that gets cut on the fold. I've got my bra shelf piece for obvious reasons, and that gets cut on the fold. I've got my low rear neckband piece. Now there are two pattern pieces, one for the high neck and one for the high back and one for the low back. So make sure you're using the right piece. This lovely curvy piece is my back neckband ruffle, and on this piece you have a line. That line there is if you were doing the high back, but I've opened mine right out, you get that extra piece to accommodate the low back. And the front neck ruffle. So quite a few pieces when you think of the quite simple garment that you're making. But I'm going to get my Yummy fabric now and we'll cut it out together. Now you'll see that I've not got my fabric completely folded in half. I'm trying to get the most out of my fabric. So I'm cutting my pattern out one piece at a time and refolding as I go. And then we'll see. I've got 2 meters of fabric, so we'll see how much I've used by measuring what's left when we're finished. And that way, next time, I'll know exactly how much to order, won't I? I'm not using pins in this fabric because I don't want it to snag. So I'm going to get my pattern weights, and I'm using my manual scissors, not my electric scissors, because there's a lot of fiddly corners and things and curves. So pattern weights, manual scissors. All my pattern pieces cut out. I've measured the shortest section of what I've got left of the fabric, and there's 1.4 meters left. So lots of costumes out of this fabric, isn't there? So next time I'm going to mark on my pattern envelope that to do the costume I only need 60 centimetres of fabric. Now obviously if you're on a site that only sells in half metre increments, you're going to have to get a metre, but you can easily I think whatever size you're making, get the CORALIE swimsuit out of 1 metre of swimwear fabric. Now, part of the reason I've measured is because swimwear fabric is not cheap. Not for decent swimwear fabric, anyway. This from First Fabrics was £18 a metre. So, I've got a swimsuit for about £12, around about 15 with all the notions. Worth making if you can get your head round it. Right, I just need to cut out my shelf bra, and also you need to cut out the front and backs in the mesh fabric, and then we're ready to start sewing. Okay, so I've got all my pieces cut out. I've got my original costume there to remind me what I don't want to be doing. And I'm just going to have a quick read through of the instructions from start to finish, which I always recommend because it gets it in your head right, and then we'll make a start. Get through the instructions, and the thing that's jumping out at me that I need to remember as a sewist is that the seam allowance on this costume is a scant 1/4 inch. So I need to remember that when I'm doing my sewing. The 1/4 inch mark on my machine is at the edge of my presser foot, so I'm going to use that as my guide. But use a seam gauge, check where a 1/4 inch is on your machine, put some washi tape or choose your landmark as your guide, and do all the seams at a scant 1/4 inch for this skimpy swimsuit. So the first thing that we need to do is the shelf bra. So I've got my cream thread in my machine so that it's not going to look a mess on the inside, and we'll make a start on that. So point number 1 is putting the elastic in the end of the shelf bra. I'll just grab the one that I made, and then you'll understand, hopefully, why I'm taking my time with this seemingly simple task. This is what I did last time. Now, the instructions tell you to stretch the elastic as you go and zigzag the inside edge of the elastic all the way along. Now, I found this quite difficult, I'll be honest. On power mesh fabric that's super stretchy, then trying to stretch the elastic, and this power mesh has got a life of its own, believe you me. And that's what I ended up with. All the elastic stretch at one end and none at the other. And then you go and meant to encase it on the inside, and you can see there my elastic moved here. So that power mesh is meant to be over the elastic, and it isn't. But it was fine at that side, but I wasn't stretching it enough. So yeah, what's my solution to hopefully solve this problem this time round? Well, I've gone old school and I've done some hand tacking. Sorry if that is not your bag, it's not mine either. You can see in the red, I've done it manually, stretched the elastic more evenly all the way across, tack stitched it in, and that's what we've got, and it's got gathers more evenly all the way along. It will also hopefully, you see it's got a life of its own, it will also hopefully stop that elastic from moving when I'm doing my zigzag stitching. Now the zigzag stitching is going to be along this inside edge here first. So if you've not done it before, hand tack. Bit of time, hopefully going to make it an easier task. and practice on some scrap first, because it's a slippery sucker, is this power mesh. So I'm going to do that now in some cream cotton, so that hopefully it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb on the inside of my costume this time. And then I'll bob back and show you the result. So here we are. Reports are in. It kept things stable. And I don't know if you can see, there's my zigzag stitch right on the edge of there. And I've still got a little bit of the power mesh at this side to fold over and make a neat finish. And it's done it pretty evenly. The stretch in the elastic all the way along. So the next thing now is we're going to fold it over like that, and then I'm going to neaten this edge off by zigzagging all the way along that edge, and then I'll take the tacking stitches out, and that's the bra shelf elastic finished. Ta-da! So there we go. There's my bra shelf elastic in, a lot even, more even than last time. Still room for improvement though. Most of the elastic is cased in, but then right at this end it's just snuck out a little bit there. But hey, practice makes perfect, doesn't it? But it was certainly a lot easier than trying to do it myself, having the power mesh fabric there, lining up the elastic with the edge and stretching the elastic, having a tail on that end and pulling it through, and the power mesh was moving around. Oh, nightmare. So I will definitely do it that way in future. Take a little bit more time, stretch the elastic and hand tack it in, and then it doesn't move around. It was a lot easier to do the sewing that way. So that's my little tip for your power mesh. Let's see what we've got to do next. Now at this point you also have the option of putting some bra cups in. I've decided not to do that. They annoy the heck out of me in swimwear. When you've been in the pool, because I do a lot of swimming, when you come out of the pool, your swimsuit dries and your boobs are still wet because of the padding. Then you're like squeezing your boobs out in your towel at the side of the pool, trying anybody not to see you. So yeah, do you know what? I didn't put them in the last one and I'm not putting them in this one. But at this stage, the instructions are there to explain how to put your bra cups into your shelf bra, if that's your bag. So the next thing we've got to do is attach the bra shelf to the front power mesh lining. Again, very slippery, but I'm going to do this with lots of pins because at least there isn't any elastic to deal with as well. But if you're really nervous with this, then hand tack it. Just hand tack it and stabilise it that way before you do the zigzagging. So we're going to zigzag stitch the arm all the way around the neck and then down the other arm, the bits at the side. So basically all the outside edges of the bra shelf are zigzagged to your front lining piece, and then this is all treated as one piece of fabric. So wish me luck with this bit. Bringing some colour into the mix now. The next thing we're going to do is attach the front outer fabric to the lining fabric, and we do this by pinning them wrong sides together, so that side to that side. We're going to pin again. I'm not pinning round the edges, I'm going to put lots of pins everywhere else, and then do a tacking zigzag, so a large zigzag stitch all the way around the edges to join those together. So the first thing you need to do is get your back and your back lining and find the centre of the back crotch area. Mark that with a pin on your lining and on your back piece. Then you're going to lay your back piece right side up. Get your front piece, lay that on top over the middle like that. Then get the lining piece and put that right side out on top. So that's what you've got. You've got your back, you've got the back right side up, the front right side facing the back, and the lining on top. So your back piece and your lining are sandwiching in the front piece of your swimsuit. Pin them all together at that centre point. And then your front crotch is not as wide as your back, so you're going to pin the corners all together. And then as you sew, you're going to stretch that inner piece so that it fits the other two. So you can put more pins in. In fact, I might put another couple of pins in just for good measure. Now you're going to sew that seam. You've got the choice of doing a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, or you can use your overlocker or serger. Because I'm using Mariflex thread, I'm going to carry on and do everything for this costume on my sewing machine. So we're going to sew from one end to the other, making sure we stretch in the front crotch to fit. There we go. Zigzagged close to the edge and got all the layers sandwiched together. Now before you turn anything out, you're going to keep these pieces in that order, and you're going to do the same thing with both of the side pieces. So lots of clips or pins and zigzag together both of the side seams. We're getting there. So this is where, fingers crossed, the magic starts to happen. Sew the side seams, sew the crotch seam. We're now going to turn this right side out like so, and we start to get a swimsuit, but on the inside your seams are all sandwiched in, so you've no raw edges. If that's not happened with yours, you've sandwiched it together wrong. Eek. So where I went over to the, what I call a cutting table, is actually my dining table, and I went through how you sandwiched them together for the crotch, get that bit right, and then this will work. So I've now got my bra shelving with the elastic, and all my seams are on the inside, nice and neat. Now, we zigzagged the front ones on the legs, but we've not zigzagged the back leg pieces, and we've not zigzagged the back neck pieces. So we're going to go and do that next. So here we are. All the zigzag stitching done round the front, round the back, and round the fronts and backs of the legs. We're getting to the scary bit now. Big girl pants time. Get the binding strip, this huge long strip, and make sure you're using the right one. There are different lengths for the high back and the low back, and we're going to join this together into a loop. Make sure they're not twisted. Right sides together and a zigzag stitch. So here's the ruffle. Get it the right way around, then you can see starting to look good. Attached to the band, I've taken my gathering stitches out, and I'm getting OTT with the bulk. So I have gone round and I have trimmed right next to the zigzag stitches, not through them, because that then ruins my seam, but just getting rid of as much bulk as I possibly can along that edge. The next stage is to get this baby onto the main bodice. So we'll go and do that together back over at the dining table. So I've got my bikini costume, and this is the ruffle. So I've got the ruffle sandwiched in between the body of the costume and the band. Found the centre with the centre front and pinned it, and then pin it to the edge all the way around with a little bit of tension. So that's what you end up with. And then you've got all this bit here are going to be your shoulder straps. Then you turn it round, find the centre of your back, and do the same at the back. Make sure that your strap isn't twisted. There we go. That you're happy with how your straps are. And then this, so there we are. I'm happy with how my straps are, they're not twisted. I've pinned it all around the front and all around the back. And we'll go back to the machine now and get this attached. Look like a swimsuit. Ta-da! Now, this next stage is where it all went peak tongue last time. I've got to just get this turned the right way round. So you've got your swimsuit, your gathers, your binding. Okay. And it was just the bulk that buggered it up. So with that way round, I've got to get my swim elastic and attach it to the edge and zigzag the inside edge, this edge, to my binding. So I'm going to do like I've done before, and I'm going to tack it all the way around, because this elastic and this swim thing and the swim costume have a life of their own, and it ends up messed up, and it's round my neckline. Needs to be done right. Pin it, tack it, sew it. So I'll do that again. Wish me luck, because this is where, as I said, this is where it all went a bit peaked on last time. And hopefully this time, with our little belt and braces, we'll get the perfect neckline on a bikini costume. Ta-da! So I've trimmed all that bulk away on the inside. The last thing that we've got to do with our neckband and back piece is to fold that facing so that it covers it like that. Top stitch it on the outside. And tacking coming on again. It feels a lot better than it did last time, and it certainly looks like it's going to fit a lot better and a lot neater. But I don't want to ruin it at this stage. You know, my head's telling me, just pin it. Put a load of vertical pins on the inside and top stitch it on the outside. Tacking. I'm making myself do this properly. Back in about an hour when I've tacked that all the way round and then top stitched it on the outside. We're getting there. The only thing I've got left to do then is the tops of the legs. I'm just about to start top stitching this round. Just wanted to let you know it's pretty tight. I'm glad I decided to tack it round, because I've really pull it. So, message to self, next time, make the band that's go around the front and back a bit wider, and then I've got a bit more wiggle room when I come to do the top stitching. But yeah, coming together. Right in there. I decided in the end to do the zigzag stitching because it was very, very close on the inside, and I thought it'd give me a little bit more wiggle room. But I'm happier with the finish on the inside of this one. Just let me grab my first attempt and you can see the difference. So that's the inside of the first one. And that's the inside of this one. Miles better. I know you can't see it, but when you're wearing it, but I know it's like that on the inside. You know what I mean? So I've just got the elastic to put round the legs in the same way as before. Wrong side, zigzag the inside, turn it and zigzag it. So I'm going to do that, and then it's the big try on. Will it fit? I've not tried it on, I've just made it because I've made it the same size as the other one. Watch this space, it'll be like a sausage skin. Fingers crossed again. So here we go. I'm braving the swimsuit. I've put it on with my cover up that I've recently made. I think goes really well with it. It's cream, semi-opaque, so you get a cheeky pop of the bright swimsuit underneath. So let's do the reveal of my new swimsuit. Ta-da! Excuse the old lady body, but I'm so proud of this popping costume. Pleased with the fit under the arms. No chance of any accidental boob flashes in this baby. Loving the ruffles around the front. And then I've done the low version at the back, which is great for sunbathing in. Not sure I'd be confident enough to swim in it, even though it feels really tight at the back. For me, in future, I think I would do the high back version. If you want to see what that one looked like, I'll pop the link to my vlog where I reveal my first swimsuit in the show notes below. Yeah, love it. Take your time, and you too can have a CORALIE swimsuit like this, probably in a better body than mine, but hey, this body has served me well for nigh on 60 years, and I'm good with it. Love the swimsuit, as I said, definitely more in the offing. Want to do the bikini version next, so watch this space.